Hello students, the second part of the story deals with Mukesh, a young boy who belonged to the family of bangle makers in Firozabad. Mukesh had a dream of becoming a car mechanic, but the tradition of his family was engaged in bangle making. The workers of glassblowing industry were unaware of the fact that though they were working in bangle making industry, they were physically harmed and they could hardly earn any money out of it. So when Mukesh was asked about his dream, he replied that he would be a motor mechanic. I will learn to drive a car, he answers, looking straight into my eyes. His dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town Firozabad, famous for its bangles. So his dream to be a motor mechanic looms like a mirage, was like an illusion that would never come true amidst the dust of streets that fill his town Firozabad, famous for its bangles. So Firozabad is famous for glass blowing industry, famous for bangle making industry. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glassblowing industry where families have spent generations working around furnaces, a closed room where heat is produced, welding glass, the process of joining metal, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. So most of the families of Firozabad were engaged in glass blowing industry. Mukesh's family is among them, and Mukesh's family is one of them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures. So most of them were unaware of the fact that it was illegal for children to work in such unhealthy atmosphere without air and light, that the law, if law would enforced, they could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours, where they work hard, often losing their brightness of their eyes. So from morning till night, these children along with their parents used to work in such dingy cells, and at the end of the day they were gifted with losing their eyesight. Mukesh's eyes beam as the volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. So we can here see that Mukesh was very happy to take Anis Jung to his home, and he proudly said that his house is being rebuilt. Walked down stinking lanes choked with garbage, past homes that remain hovels with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. So here, walking down stinking lanes choked with garbage. So the lanes that they were passing were choked with garbage. Choked means blocked with garbage. Past homes that remain hovels. Hovels means slum. With crumbling walls means falling walls. Wobbly doors, unsteady doors. No windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. Humans and animals coexisting, existing in the same time and place in a prehistoric manner. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot and pushes it open. We enter a half-built shack. So finally they reached Mukesh's house, and his house was, as said by him, his house was being rebuilt. It was a half-built shack. Shack means hut. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove. So there was a firewood stove which was covered by dry leaves. Thatched with dead grass means dry leaves, covered with dry leaves, over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. And over that firewood stove, there was a large vessel where the spinach leaves were being cooked. On the ground, in large aluminum platters, are more chopped vegetables. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. And Anis Jung encountered a frail young woman. Frail weak young woman cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of Mukesh, elder brother. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the house, already in charge of 3 men, her husband, Mukesh, and their father. So, if question comes, who is responsible for Mukesh household? Then you will write Mukesh, elder brother's wife, is responsible of Mukesh household. Okay. The man enters. She gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings a veil closer to her face. So here, the older man refers to Mukesh's father. So when he entered the house, Mukesh's elder brother's wife, she brought her veil closer to her face. Veil means a cover. As custom demands, daughters-in-law must veil their faces before male elders. And according to their custom, a daughter-in-law must put a veil or must cover their face in front of male members of their family. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. And in this case, the poor man is a bangle maker. The elder man, Mukesh's father, is a bangle maker. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his 2 sons to school. And being a responsible father, he was a tailor. At first, his profession was of a tailor, then a bangle maker, who has failed to renovate their house and also to send his 2 sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. The only thing that he could do his entire life was to teach his 2 sons the art of making bangles. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. So when asked, his grandmother, Mukesh's grandmother, said that it is his karam, his destiny. Okay, the failure of the father, or as the father was unable to renovate the house, was only because of working in a glass making industry or in a glass blowing industry. It is his karam, his destiny. Even the grandmother saw her own husband going blind while working in glass bangle industry. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies, and she said that she emphasized on the fact that a God-given lineage can never be broken. Okay, and according to their custom, they will have to work in a glass bangle industry. In the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow lie in mounds, means heaps, in unkempt yards. Unkempt, which is not taken care of, are piled on 4-wheel handcarts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. So the people of Firozabad were more accustomed to bangles. And in dark hutments next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers joining pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. So the small children along with their fathers and mothers used to sit and they used to weld the glasses into spirals of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. And as they used to sit the whole day in the dark, in the dingy cells, so their eyes were not adapted to the light, to the bright side. And that is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. And before gaining the adulthood, they often end their life with losing their eyesight. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman soldering pieces of glass. So Savita is another girl. She is another young girl who sits aside an elderly man, an elderly woman, soldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine, and as her hands were moving like a machine, the author wonders if she knows the sanctity, means the purity of the bangles she helps make. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. So, unaware of the fact, unaware of the purity, the sanctity of bangles, Savita, a young girl, was busy making the bangle. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red veil, her hands dyed red with henna, and red bangles rolled onto her wrists. So here Anis Jung said that Savita will realize or understand the auspiciousness of bangles once she gets married. She will then become a bride, like the old woman beside her who became one many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. Ek waqt ser bhar khana bhi nahi khaya. Ser, a unit of measurement. She says in a voice drained of joy. So here the old lady seemed to complain that she had not eaten a ser of food. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has ripped. She has ripped means she has got. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, I know nothing except bangles, and her husband was also helpless. He said that, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for a family to live in. The only thing that I have done so far is to make a house to live in. Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. He has a roof over his head. And here Anis Jung thought that at least this man has a roof over his head, which many like him didn't have. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. Okay? And the scarcity of food, poverty rings in every corner of Firozabad. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil means hard work, have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. And as they're accustomed to work in Bengal industry, all their dreams and aspirations has been killed. Organize yourselves into a cooperative. I ask a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen who trap their fathers and forefathers. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up, means dragged by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal, they say. There is no leader among them. So when Anis Jung asked a group of men that why don't you work in some other cooperatives, they replied that even if they dare to do so, they will be dragged by the police, beaten by them, and they will be imprisoned for doing something illegal. They said that they don't have any leader among them. No one who could help them see things differently. Their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy, lack of concern, to greed and to injustice. So from this paragraph, it is clear that the people of Firozabad were trapped in the vicious circle of middlemen. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. So here in Firozabad, you can see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. One world belonged to the poverty-stricken world, where they were burdened with the stigma of caste in which they are born. A vicious circle of the sahukars, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats and the politicians. So in Firozabad, according to Anis Jung, she has seen two different worlds. First world belonged to the poor people, those who were burdened with the stigma of caste. And the other world were the vicious circle, and the other world was the vicious circle of the middlemen, the sahukars, the moneylenders, the bureaucrats, the keepers of law, etc. Together they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. So this was the condition of the people of Firozabad. Before they could do anything, they were all engaged in glass blowing industry. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of his growing up. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. I want to be a motor mechanic, he repeats. So Anis Jung was happy to see that Mukesh had a spark in him. He dared to become a motor mechanic, a dream that was beyond his reach. He will go to a garage and learn, but the garage is a long away from his home. I will walk, he insists. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent. So when he was asked that if he had the dream of flying a plane, he refused. He became silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. In his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. He is content, means he was satisfied, to dream of cars that he sees hurtling, means moving, down the streets of his town. Few airplanes fly over Firozabad. So, here, Anis Jung ends the chapter by saying that when she came to know that Mukesh had the dream of becoming a motor mechanic, she was very happy. Okay? And when he was asked about flying the planes, he said that he didn't have such aim because very few planes fly in Firozabad. He has grown up seeing only the cars and his mind was restricted only to them. And in this way, Anis Jung ends the chapter.